Welcome to the Musar HaTorah podcast for Parshas Vayetze. Join us as we explore the weekly parsha, uncovering valuable insights and striving to become the best versions of ourselves through Musar teachings. The medrash tells us on the night Rachel was supposed to be married to Yaakov Avenu, her father Lavan switched her sister Leah with Rachel. This was something Yaakov anticipated and had given Rachel signs to identify herself. Rachel, sensing that Leah would be embarrassed by this situation, gave the signs to Leah so there would be no embarrassment. Later on in the parsha, we see the story with Rachel, Leah, and the dudaim. When Rachel, who at this point is childless, asks Leah for the dudaim that Reuven had picked for Leah, Leah replies the following: Hama'at kachtich es ishti v'lakachta gam es dudai b'ni v'tomer Rachel l'chein yishka v'imach halayla tachas dudai v'necha. Leah said to Rachel, "Isn't it enough that you took my husband? Would you also take my son's dudaim from me?" Although Leah gives the dudaim to Rachel, it's done very begrudgingly. The question is, why didn't Leah have hakaras hatov to Rachel for what she did at the wedding and happily give the dudaim to Rachel? To answer this question, we need to first understand what exactly were the signs Yaakov gave to Rachel, who then in turn gave them to Leah. Rav Yisrael Meir Druk Shlita points us to a das Zekanim, that the signs were the three mitzvahs which are unique to women: Chala, Nida, and Hadlakas Haneros. The way I understand this is that Yaakov taught Rachel the halachos of these mitzvos, and then Rachel transmitted them to Leah. Through this transmission, Leah didn't actually know that these were signs Yaakov had given to Rachel. Leah was under the assumption that Yaakov wanted to marry her and not Rachel. Why this is actually the case is a good question, but not for this podcast. It turns out that this was a chesed which was done in secret. And this answers our question about Leah's apparent lack of a hakaras hatov to Rachel. Leah didn't know what Rachel did for her. Rav Shalom Shordran Zecher Levracha points out that this is the most preferred way of doing chesed. Quietly, anonymously, without the person who is on the receiving end knowing who did this for him. In fact, this is something the Gemara tells us in two locations. The first is in Bava Basra Daf Tes Amud Beis, where it says, Amar Rabbi Elazar, Gadol ha'oseh tzedakah b'seiser yoser Moshe Rabbeinu, that the person who performs acts of kindness or acts of charity in secret is greater than Moshe Rabbeinu. Tosfos explains there that giving tzedakah b'seiser has a greater capacity of quelling Hashem's anger than the power of Moshe Rabbeinu's tefillos. A second example of this is in Ksuvis, Daf Samach Zayin Amud Beis, where Mar Ukva usually made sure that the people who he was giving charity to did not see him. Then, one day, the person who was receiving the tzedakah wanted to see who was actually giving it to him. Mar Ukva ran and had to hide in an oven, and his legs were burnt as a result. This is how powerful and important giving charity anonymously is. The story of Rachel and Leah teaches us a profound lesson about chesed. Rachel's secret act, giving the marriage signs to Leah, exemplifies the highest form of giving, where the recipient remains unaware. This explains Leah's seemingly ungrateful response about the dudaim. She simply didn't know about Rachel's sacrifice. And in fact, Rachel didn't get angry at Leah, which If you take a look at the Psukim, right after this story, Hashem remembers Rachel, and Rachel does become pregnant. As demonstrated by Rabbi Elazar's teaching that secret charity surpasses even Moshe, and Mar Ukva's dedication to anonymous giving, we learn that the purest chesed is done without recognition. Rachel's selfless act continues to inspire us to seek opportunities for quiet kindness, where the only witnesses are ourselves and Hashem. Thank you for listening. Until next time, may we all merit to emulate Rachel's example of anonymous chesed. Have a wonderful Shabbos.